The stars above the quiet colony world of Nova Centauri Prime twinkled like frozen diamonds. It was a peaceful night, but deep inside the colony's government center, a storm was about to begin. Captain Elias Ward, once a war hero and now a respected ambassador, stood with his arms crossed inside the main hall. He didn't like surprises, especially when they came from the Terralon Empire. Elias was tall, with silver streaks in his dark hair and eyes that had seen too many battlefields. He had spent the last 10 years trying to keep peace between Earth and the alien empires. So when the message came, "You will receive a gift from the Terralons," he already had a bad feeling. Now a group of Terralon guards stood before him, tall and smooth-skinned, their faces like carved stone. Between them stood a woman. She wore long silver robes and a metal crown on her head. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes glowing violet. She was not looking at anyone. "This is Princess Aelira of House Niven," one of the guards said. "She is a gift, a sign of goodwill." Elias frowned. "A gift? She's a person." "She is yours now," the guard replied coldly. "She is no longer useful to the Empire." Elias turned to the woman. "Is this true? Do you want to be here?" She finally looked at him. Her voice was soft and clear. "It does not matter what I want." The Terralon ship left shortly after, without a single thank you or goodbye. Elias stood alone with the alien princess, not sure what to do next. Back at his home inside the colony's diplomatic sector, Elias tried to make her feel welcome. The building was large but quiet, filled with Earth-style furniture, old books, and a few plants from home. "You can have any room you like," Elias said. Aelira walked slowly, like someone half awake. She touched nothing, asked no questions. "You don't have to talk if you don't want to," he added. "But I won't treat you like an object." She finally spoke. "That is new." Elias raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "In my world," she said, "a barren princess is useless. I was born to continue the bloodline. I failed. They sent me here to disappear with dignity." "Barren?" Elias repeated. "I cannot produce children," she said. "That makes me broken to them." Elias felt a strange anger rise in his chest. "That's cruel. You're still a person. You're not broken." Aelira turned away. "You are kind, human, but kindness does not change fate." She entered the guest room and closed the door behind her. Over the next few days, Aelira said little, but she watched everything. She watched Elias speak to his staff, work at his desk, cook meals, and even laugh at old stories. Slowly, she started eating meals with him. Quietly, calmly. But it was a start. One evening, Elias was sitting outside under the stars. He heard the door open behind him. Aelira stepped out, wearing a long earth robe. Her crown was gone. "Do you still believe I am not broken?" she asked softly. He looked at her, surprised. "Yes, of course." "Even if I cannot do what I was born to do?" Elias smiled a little. "People aren't machines, Princess. You weren't born to be a tool. You were born to live, to learn, to feel." Aelira looked up at the stars. People do not speak like this." "Maybe they should," Elias replied. She sat beside him in silence. After a while, she asked, "Do humans care so much about children?" "Some do. Some don't. But we care more about freedom, about being treated with respect." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "If I were human, I think I would like that." A few weeks passed. Aelira began to speak more. She asked about human history, art, and culture. She even laughed once when Elias told her how his old dog once chewed through a diplomat's robe. Elias was happy to see her open up. But one day, she surprised him. "Can your doctors look at me?" she asked. He blinked. "Why?" "I want to know," she said. "If I really am What they say. Elias nodded. Of course. They traveled to the colony's main medical center. The human doctor, Dr. Mara Lynn, was kind and respectful. She scanned Elira with advanced equipment. Running tests the Terralons had never used. Elira was nervous. She sat still, but Elias could see her hands trembling. After a long hour, Dr. Lynn stepped out with a puzzled look. Captain Ward, we need to talk. Elias followed her into the office. She showed him the report. This doesn't make sense, she said. Elira isn't barren, not really. What do you mean? She has a chemical block in her body, something her people must have put there. It suppresses certain reproductive functions, but it's reversible. In fact, humans have the tech to fix this. Elias stared at the screen. Are you saying... She could have children, Dr. Lynn said, especially with a human partner. Her body is more compatible with us than with her own kind. Elias didn't know what to say. Back at the house, Elira waited in the quiet room. Elias walked in slowly. What did the doctor say? She asked. He sat across from her. Elira, you're not barren. She didn't speak, didn't move. There's something in your body, something they gave you to make you that way. But we can help. Tears slowly filled her eyes. So, they lied to me. My whole life. Elias nodded gently. Yes, but now you have a choice. Elira covered her face, her shoulders shaking. For the first time in years, she cried. The days passed slowly after the truth was revealed. Princess Elira no longer walked through the halls of the diplomatic house with heavy steps. Something inside her had changed. She no longer wore her royal crown. She no longer spoke in a cold voice. Instead, she began to live. Captain Elias Ward noticed the difference at once. The sadness in her eyes was still there, but now it was mixed with curiosity, even wonder. She asked questions. She watched the human world like a child discovering a new land. What is this? She asked one morning, pointing at a steaming mug on the table. That, Elias said with a smile, is coffee. She took a sip and made a face. It is bitter. Exactly, he laughed. Humans like a little pain in their pleasure. Elira tilted her head. That sounds like a strange way to live. Elias leaned back. Maybe. But it's the way we are. Every day, Elira learned something new. She watched human movies, read human books, and listened to music. She loved the way humans expressed feelings so openly. Joy, anger, love, sorrow. Her own people were not like that. One evening, she sat with Elias on the balcony, looking at the sky. My people don't cry, she said softly. Even as children, we are taught that emotion is weakness. And do you believe that now? Elias asked. She shook her head. No. Now, I think it takes great strength to feel so deeply. They sat in silence for a while. The stars above them blinked gently. Elias sipped his coffee. Elira simply stared at the horizon, her thoughts far away. Do you regret coming here? Elias finally asked. Elira turned her violet eyes toward him. At first, yes. I thought I was thrown away, but now I feel like I have found something new. The next day, Elias took her to the colony's science lab. Dr. Mara Lynn, the doctor who had discovered the truth, was waiting. I've studied more of your biology, Dr. Lynn said. Your people misdiagnosed your condition. What they called barren was simply a blockage, but it was designed, not natural. You mean someone did this to me? Elira asked. Dr. Lynn nodded. Most likely, yes. They made sure you couldn't produce an heir. Maybe it was political. Maybe someone wanted you out of the way. Elira's hands tightened. They stole my purpose. No, Elias said, standing beside her. They tried to. But you're more than what they told you. You're more than a womb. Elira looked at him. What am I then? You're free, Elias said quietly. You can choose your own life now. For a long moment, Elira said, nothing. Then she asked Dr. Lin, Can it be reversed? Yes, Dr. Lin answered. With your permission, we can remove the chemical block, but it's your decision. Elira closed her eyes. She didn't need long. Yes, I want to know who I truly am. The procedure was simple by human standards. The block was removed in less than an hour. No pain, no side effects. But the emotional weight was enormous. Elias waited outside while Elira sat alone in the recovery room. When she came out, she looked different, lighter. Her steps were stronger, her head higher. I feel strange, she said. As if I was reborn. Elias smiled. That's not strange at all. They walked back to the house in silence, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was peaceful. That night, as they sat by the fireplace, Elira turned to him. You have done much for me, Elias Ward, more than I expected, more than I believed anyone ever would. I only showed you what was already inside you, he replied. I want to give you something in return, she said softly. A gift. My people have a bonding ceremony, not like marriage, but a sharing of paths. It means I choose to walk beside you. Elias blinked. Are you sure? You don't have to repay anything. I am not repaying. I am choosing, she said. Then, without another word, she took a small crystal from her robe, broke it in half, and offered one part to him. The crystal glowed warm in his hand. They touched the pieces together. A faint hum filled the air. The bonding was complete. Weeks passed. Elira grew more confident. She wore clothes made by human designers. She helped in the garden. She even taught Elias some Terralon meditation techniques. But something strange started happening. She felt tired in the mornings. Her appetite changed. Certain smells made her dizzy. At first, she ignored it, but then she missed her usual walk. Outside and fell asleep during breakfast. Dr. Lin ran tests again. When she returned with the results, she looked surprised. Elira, she said slowly, you're pregnant. The room went silent. Elira looked at Elias, her hands shaking. Is this real? Dr. Lin nodded. Yes. You're going to have a child, a healthy one. Elira sat down, her breath shaky. All my life they told me I was broken. Now I am carrying life. Elias sat beside her, his hand gently covering hers. This child is a miracle. But more than that, it's yours. Yours, and no one else's. Tears welled in Elira's eyes. She didn't try to hide them. That evening, she stood before a mirror in her room. Her hand rested on her stomach. There was no bump yet, but she knew something beautiful was growing inside her. She whispered to herself, They sent me away as a failure. But now, I carry the future. Elias stood at the doorway, watching her with quiet respect. What will we do now? She asked. We protect this child, Elias said, and we protect each other. Outside, the stars glowed softly. But far, away, beyond human space, someone else had learned of Elira's condition. The Terralon High Council had received a secret report. Princess Elira has conceived with a human, and they were not pleased. Elira sat quietly by the window, her hands resting gently on her stomach. Though there was no visible change in her body yet, she could feel it. Life was growing inside her. A life that should not have been possible. A life that defied everything she had been told. Outside, the colony of Nova Centauri Prime moved slowly under a bright orange sky. Humans went about their work. Children played in the fields. Birds, earth birds, sang in the trees. This world was peaceful. But Elira knew that peace never lasted long when power was involved. Inside the house, Elias was busy in the kitchen. He cooked often these days and sometimes joked that food was how humans showed love. Elira didn't fully understand it yet, but she enjoyed watching him work. "You're quiet today," Elias said without turning around. "I'm thinking," she replied. "Dangerous thing thinking," she smiled. "Do you think they know?" Elias paused, then slowly turned to face her. "The Terralons?" She nodded. "It's possible," he said. "Medical data gets passed around fast, especially when it's connected to royalty." "Was never truly royalty to them," Elira said. "I was only useful if I could produce heirs. And now I've done the impossible, but not with one of their own. With a human," Elias said softly. "With you." Later that day, a message came in from the outer sensor station. Elias read it with a frown. "What is it?" Elira asked. "A Terralon ship," Elias said. "Large. Not a warship, but not a courier either. It entered orbit 20 minutes ago." "Did they send a message?" "Yes," Elias said. "They want to meet. No details. Just urgent diplomatic matters." Elira's face hardened. "They know," Elias nodded. "Looks like it." The meeting was held in the colony's central hall. Elias stood tall in his ambassador uniform, and Elira stood beside him, wearing a simple silver robe. She no longer wore her crown, but her presence was no less royal. 3 Terralon figures entered the room, 2 guards and 1 man in flowing black robes. His face was sharp, and his eyes were cold. "Ambassador Ward," the man said. "Princess Elira." "Counselor Draenus," Elira replied. "Why are you here?" "To correct a mistake," Draenus said. "You were sent away with respect. We did not expect you to act foolishly." "I did not act foolishly," Elira said. "I acted freely." "You have shamed your house," Draenus said. "And worse, you have carried a child that should not exist." Elias stepped forward. "Enough. She is free to choose her path. This colony is under Earth jurisdiction. You have no right to demand anything." Draenus smiled coldly. "Earth does not want war with the Terralon Empire, and we do not want this hybrid to live." Elias's hand clenched into a fist. Elira stepped between them. "You sent me away. You said I was barren. You cast me out. And now, when I prove you wrong, you return not with apology, but with threats." "You have defied the natural order," Draenus said. "No," Elira replied. "I have defied your control." The room fell silent. After a moment, Draenus spoke again. "You must return with us, now, willingly or not." Elias shook his head. "No, she stays. And if you try to take her," Draenus interrupted, "then the Empire will consider it an act of aggression." He turned sharply and walked out, his guards following behind. That night, Elias and Elira sat on the balcony again. But this time, the stars felt colder. "They'll come back," Elias said, "with more ships, with soldiers." "I won't go with them," Elira said. "I know," Elias said, "and I won't let them take you." Elira looked at him. "You may have to fight again. I've fought for worse reasons." In the following days, the colony prepared for defense. Earth Command was alerted, but reinforcements were far away. The colony had only a small defense fleet, enough to slow an attack, but not stop a full assault. Elira refused to hide. "If I must stand, I will stand in the open," she said. "Let them see the woman they fear." Elias agreed. "We show them we are not afraid." The Terralon ship remained in orbit, silent, watching, waiting. Then came the second message. "This is your final warning. Hand over the princess, or face the Empire's wrath." Elias sent one reply. She is not your prisoner. She is not your property. She is family. The attack came at dawn. 3 more Terralon cruisers jumped into orbit. Dropships began descending toward the colony. The humans activated defense shields and launched their fighters. Explosions lit up the sky. The colony's ships, though fewer, fought with skill and bravery. They managed to shoot down 2 dropships before they reached the ground. But the third one broke through. It landed just outside the diplomatic quarter. Terralon soldiers stepped out, weapons ready. Inside the house, Elias grabbed his blaster. He looked at Aelira. "Stay here. Lock the doors." She shook her head. "No, I stand with you. You're pregnant. I'm not weak." They stood together at the entrance as the soldiers approached. But then a voice rang out. From a hidden speaker near the roof, Aelira's voice echoed across the colony. She was broadcasting on all frequencies. "To the people of Earth and Terralon, I am Princess Aelira of House Nivan. I was sent away, called Barren, cast out as worthless. But I have found new life. I have found love. I have found freedom." The soldiers paused. "I carry the first child born of both our worlds. Not a weapon, not a threat, a symbol of what we can become if we stop fearing what is different." Her voice was calm, steady. "I will not be taken. And if you destroy me, you destroy the chance for something greater than power." Silence followed. The Terralon soldiers stopped moving. One by one, they lowered their weapons. Back in orbit, the Terralon commanders received reports of the failed ground assault. Their orders had been clear. But something had changed. A voice, strong and true, had reached the hearts of their own people. Counselor Dranas ordered a retreat, not out of mercy, but because he knew the eyes of the galaxy were now watching. This story would spread, and the Empire could not risk looking like a monster. Later, as the colony repaired the damage, Elias and Aelira stood by the window again. "You spoke well," Elias said. "I spoke the truth," Aelira replied. She placed his hand gently on her stomach. "They wanted to erase me. But instead, we've given the galaxy something it's never seen before." "A future," Elias said. She smiled. "Yes, a future worth fighting for." The calm of Nova Centauri Prime shattered like glass. The Terralon Empire was not the kind to forget insults or ignore defiance. Aelira's pregnancy, her bold speech, had forced the Empire into a choice, and they chose action. In orbit, the peaceful sky suddenly filled with the sharp shapes of Terralon warships. Their black hulls shimmered ominously against the stars. The Terralon High Council had sent their strongest fleet to take back what they called their lost princess. This time, they would not ask politely. Captain Elias Ward watched the ships approach from the colony's command center. His jaw was tight. Around him, Earth officers moved swiftly, preparing defenses. The colony's small fleet was brave but outnumbered. They could not win a long battle, but they would fight with everything they had. Elias turned to Aelira, who stood beside him, her violet eyes steady but troubled. "They're coming for you," Elias said quietly. Aelira nodded. "They want to take me back. But I am no longer theirs." Elias took her hand. "We will protect you. And your child." The Terralon fleet moved into orbit like a black storm. Communications from the Empire poured in. Princess Aelira must return immediately. The Terralon ambassador's voice was cold over the colony's loudspeakers. "Failure to comply will force the Empire to act." Elias stepped forward, his voice firm and clear. "Princess Aelira has chosen to live on Nova Centauri Prime. She is under Earth protection. The Empire must respect her rights." Aelira looked around the command room. "They see me as a symbol," she said softly. "A symbol of rebellion and change." Elias nodded. Symbols can be powerful, but they also make enemies. As the warships hovered, the colony prepared for the worst. Humans worked day and night to strengthen defenses. The scientists worked to protect Heir and the unborn child. The people whispered hopes and fears. One evening, Heir sat alone in the garden looking at the stars. Elias joined her quietly. "Do you miss your home?" he asked. She shook her head. "I do not miss the empire. I miss the idea of family, the life I was denied." Elias took her hand. "We will build a new family here, together." Heir smiled, faintly. "It feels strange, but good." The day of confrontation arrived. The Terralon fleet gave the colony an ultimatum: surrender the princess or face destruction. Elias answered with a message of his own. "You will not take her by force. We will defend our home." The first attack began at dawn. Bright beams of energy lit the sky as Terralon ships fired on the colony's shields. Explosions shook the ground. Human fighters flew bravely, engaging enemy ships despite the odds. Inside the command center, Elias gave orders calmly but with urgency. "Hold the line, protect the civilian sectors, defend the princess's house." On the ground, Heir stood with a small group of volunteers. They were ready to defend their home. "We fight not just for me," she said, "but for every voice silenced by fear and power." The Terralon soldiers landed near the colony's edge. They moved with precision and strength. A fierce battle broke out. Humans and Terralons clashed in the streets. Elias fought alongside his people, but his thoughts were with Heir. He knew this fight was about more than land. It was about freedom. After hours of battle, the fighting slowed. The Terralon soldiers retreated to their ships, but the message was clear. This was only the beginning. The colony had shown it would not give up easily. That night, as the dust settled, Elias and Heir met in the command center. "We have made them angry," Elias said. Heir nodded. "But we have also made them afraid." She placed her hand on her stomach. "This child is not just mine. It is hope." Elias smiled softly. "Then we must protect that hope at all costs." Days later, a surprising message came from the Terralon High Council. They wanted to talk. The two sides agreed to meet in a neutral space station, far from Earth and Terralon homeworlds. Elias and Heir prepared for the meeting. The colony held its breath. This was a chance for peace, or a trap. At the space station, the council members waited. Heir entered, dressed in her royal robes. Her strength and dignity shone clearly. The council spoke carefully, but their tone was serious. "You have created a new reality, Princess," the council leader said. "A child of two worlds. This cannot be ignored." Heir answered, "This child is a bridge, not a weapon." The talks were tense. Both sides argued and defended their positions. But in the end, something changed. The Terralon Empire agreed to recognize Heir's rights as mother and ruler over her child. They agreed to a fragile peace. Returning home, Elias and Heir felt relief, but also knew this was only the start of a new journey. The colony celebrated the small victory. Heir looked out at the stars, thinking about the future. She no longer felt barren. She was full of life, hope, and determination. With Elias by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next. The day finally came, the day Heir's child was born. It was not just the birth of a baby. It was the birth of a new hope for two very different worlds. Inside the colony's medical center, the atmosphere was tense but full of hope. Dr. Mara Lynn and her team prepared carefully. This child was unique, a first of its kind. Human and Terralon blood mixed in a way no one had seen before. Elias stayed close, holding Heir's hand. She was tired but calm, her violet eyes filled with quiet strength. "Almost there, Doctor," Lynn said softly. Elira nodded, breathing deeply. Outside the room, news of the birth spread quickly. People gathered in the colony's main square. They waited anxiously. To them, this child was a symbol, proof that two worlds could come together. Among the crowd were humans and Terralons alike. Many had come to believe that this baby could change everything. Inside the delivery room, the moment arrived. With a final push, the baby cried, a clear, strong sound. Elias smiled, tears in his eyes. "It's alive." Dr. Lin handed the baby to Elira. The infant's skin was soft and pale blue, like its mother's, but its eyes sparkled bright green, like Elias's. Elira looked down at the child. "My child," she whispered. The baby reached up, gripping her finger. In that moment, all the pain, fear, and struggles melted away. Days after the birth, scientists studied the child carefully. They found the baby was stronger than either parent, faster, smarter, with unique abilities neither species had before. Word spread throughout the galaxy. The hybrid child was more than a miracle. It was a sign. Elira and Elias became leaders in this new era. The Terralon Emperor sent a message to Nova Centauri Prime. He offered peace. He recognized Elira's child as heir to both empires. This shocked many. Some welcomed it. Others resisted. But the galaxy was watching. Elira stood before a crowd in the colony's central plaza. She held her child close. "Today," she said, "we begin a new chapter, one of hope, unity, and strength." She looked at Elias, then back to the crowd. "This child is proof that love and respect can change the course of history." Elias smiled proudly. He knew their journey had been hard, but it was worth it. Together, they had changed two worlds. The future was uncertain, but full of promise. And so, the barren alien princess who was once a gift no one wanted became a mother of the future, a symbol that even the deepest wounds can heal. And that sometimes, the greatest gifts come from the most unexpected places.